All right, Shabbosai, good morning. Good morning. Let us begin. We are picking up Emiras Hashem this morning in Os Dalid, section 4 in Tzidkas HaTzaddik, a really beautiful and meaningful piece that actually builds on a number of the pieces that we've seen before. So the Rebbe writes as follows. So again, remember, we are on its page Ches. We're picking up, we're going to read it inside of the Be'uriah Chasidus, so that middle section there, and again, by the letter Dalid, right, bottom of the right-hand paragraph. Al Pi HaMavur Le'el, so if you remember again, in Gimel, the Rebbe was explaining based on the pasuk Reishis Chachma Yiras Hashem, the beginning of all wisdom. So we translate that as fear of God. But the truth is, the Rebbe said really what it means is God awareness. That the entire essence of life, the entire first component of Yiddishkeit is to create a sense of God awareness. And the Rebbe said this is the role, this is the power of a bracha. Brachas create this sense of God awareness. So continuing a little bit on that same theme. So the Rebbe writes as follows. He says, "V'nisbar gam tama inyan shemitzvah harishona shenischayev adam l'kaima kishenasa adam bar mitzvah biyosa ben 13 shana hu mitzvahs kriyas shema shel arvis." So here the Rebbe makes a very beautiful observation. He says, if you think about this, when a young man becomes a bar mitzvah, right, what is the first mitzvah he has? Right, the first mitzvah he has when he becomes a bar mitzvah is kriyas shema shel arvis, nighttime shema. Right, remember we spoke about this. This was in the previous sif as well. We say shema b'shach b'cha uvekumecha, when you go to sleep and when you wake up. So remember again, the Rebbe explained that refers to two different parts of life, right? It's not just simply night and day, but rather again, b'shach b'cha, when I go to sleep, I'm supposed to have a God awareness. B'kumecha, even when I go into the world, I'm supposed to have a God awareness. So remember again, the Jewish day starts at night. So therefore, when does a boy become bar mitzvah? He becomes bar mitzvah nightfall. So let's say again, if my birthday is Aleph Tishrei, it's a good birthday to have. If my birthday is Aleph Tishrei, so I become a bar mitzvah the night of Aleph Tishrei. So let's say Tishrei falls out. Aleph Tishrei is a Thursday. For argument's sake, it's a Thursday. So then again, when do I become a bar mitzvah? Wednesday night. At Seisa Kochavim, the nightfall of Wednesday night, I become a bar mitzvah. What's fascinating to see, so therefore, what is my first mitzvah obligation? Nighttime Shema. And it's true for everyone across the board. The first mitzvah that a bar mitzvah has, the first obligation that a bar mitzvah has, is kriyas shema shel arvis, nighttime shema. He says, what's interesting, no? Just interesting, that's my first mitzvah. What's the pshat? The time shel davar hu mipnei shechova sa'adam liyached is kol masav la'Hashem yisbarach hu harishis v'adarga harishona ba'avodas Hashem kimoshin is ba'er la'el le'inyan brachos. So remember again, this on a most basic level, before we get to why nighttime Shema, it makes sense that the first mitzvah that a bar mitzvah boy has is Shema. That makes sense. Why? Because the essence of Shema is Chabalos Omach Ushalayim. The essence of Shema is the acceptance of a relationship with Hashem, creation of God awareness. So that makes sense. The first thing, it's fascinating, right? The first thing that a bar mitzvah boy has to do is not put on his tefillin, right? Is not go ahead and keep Shabbos. Is not that's not the first thing. The first thing I have to do as a bar mitzvah is to put in the effort to create a relationship with Hashem. That's my first obligation. What's the vehicle for that? Shema. Shema is the vehicle, one of the vehicles, maybe even primary vehicle, for creation of relationship with Hashem, creation of God awareness. He goes on, he says, Shekodim kol, tzarach adam lios bedarga da es elokei avicha, left 10 paragraph. The first step is, a person has to get to know the God of their father, v'rach achar kach avdehu, and then only afterwards can I serve him. So again, this is all from Os Gimel. The first step in the creation of relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu ultimately is God awareness. God awareness yields God appreciation. God appreciation then informs the way that I serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ki hu kriyas shema ubrachos inyonim echad. Dahainu liyachid es kol ha'masim hanasim al yodo rak l'Hashem yisbarach. Because in this respect, says Rav Tzadok, Shema and brachos really are the same thing. Meaning, again, remember again, what did Rav Tzadok say? Baruch ato Hashem Elokeinu. What does a bracha do? Bracha creates God awareness. What does Kriyat Shema do? Creates God awareness. Kriyat Shema perhaps does it in a little bit more of like an acute form, because literally I'm accepting Hashem upon myself, but it's the same yisod. Good. So then he goes on, he says, Rak sha'brachos niskenu k'dei liyachil Hashem yisbarach befrat kol echad ve'echad me'amasim sha'avuro niskan ha'bracha mesiyam ezu danu sha'adam model Hashem yisbarach v'miyuchad al hanos ha'maisa sha'omer lihanos mimenu. So I'll say, he's just getting technical here for just a moment. So if brachos and Shema have the same avodah, right? They have the same they have the same same purpose, to create God awareness. So how are they different? So it's simple. A bracha creates God awareness in a limited context. For example, I have a cup of coffee, right? I say, Baruch ato Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh bidvaro. Blessed are you, Hashem, source of blessing, right? King of the universe. Shehakol niyeh, everything was created through His word. So what does that do? That creates God awareness in coffee. Truth is, when you need a cup of coffee, it's all God awareness, right? There's nothing more spiritual and holy than a cup of coffee in the morning. So again, what that does is that creates God awareness in this coffee. That's what brachos do. They create God awareness in a specific, limited context. Whatever it is that I'm doing, I bring God into that event. Shema, on the other hand, is much more global. He says, "V'zu kriyat Shema tachlisa hiliyachid es kol maasav bichlal b'shachris ha'maisa kimo es kedei es masha omer lasos b'yomhu be'ez shunir." So remember again, kriyat Shema, on the other hand, also creates God awareness, but it creates a much more what we'll call globalized or much more general God awareness. So, for example, when I say Shema, when I wake up in the morning, or I bikumecha, so what that does is that brings HaKadosh Baruch Hu into my day. So suddenly, again, all aspects of the goal is to create a sense of God awareness and God connection in all aspects of my day. Uba'arvis al kol ma'aseh shchiva sheyeda gam b'shas Hashem lefnei mihu shochev v'yedabek es machshavosa b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then when I go to sleep, right, b'shach b'cha, the goal is to create God awareness. Even right now, not only do I stand before God as we spoke about, but what? I sleep before God as well. I sleep before God as well. So I will say, so now, what was nice about this is, first of all, just like a little bit of a review, right? That brachos and Shema really have the same essence, which is create God awareness. Why is God awareness important? God awareness creates relationship. And relationship then yields more energized, more meaningful, and more impactful avoda, physical service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So, okay, Shema and brachos do the same thing. Brachos do it in a very specific, almost like episodic or actional way. I'm doing something now, making a bracha. The bracha brings HaKadosh Baruch Hu into that specific event, that specific action, that specific moment. Kriyat Shema brings HaKadosh Baruch Hu into general states of being. B'shach b'cha uvekumecha. I sleep before God, and in my waking hours, I do everything else before HaKadosh Baruch Hu as well. Now Rav Tzadok says, so I'll say, so therefore, it makes perfect sense that what is the first mitzvah that a bar mitzvah bacher has? What is the first mitzvah? Kriyat Shema. Kriyat Shema, right? The first thing, it's fascinating, right? The first thing you do as a bar mitzvah bacher is not per se a physical mitzvah. Because what we're trying to teach our children is, don't fall into the trap of behavioral Yiddishkeit. Don't fall into the trap of a mechanistic relationship with God. It's important. The behaviors, of course, everything. The mechanics are important. But what's so much more important, or what makes the mechanics and the details important, is relationship. Create your God awareness. Bar mitzvah bachar. Now you're a man. Everybody got that. Now you're a man speech, right? Now you're a man. So now, as an adult, as a responsible Jew, you have an obligation to create an awareness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in your life. And if you have that, you'll have relationship. When you have relationship, you're going to want to do the things to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Which I will say, just as an aside, I'm not going to take a show of hands about how many of us were educated about God awareness or relationship with Hashem when we became bar mitzvah. Hey, and because I know the answer. The answer for all of us is none of us were given this, which is such a gaping hole in general in chinuch. Right? We're all about the details and sometimes nothing about the relationship. And that's tragic. That's tragic. And it's so important as parents, again, especially as parents, if you have young children, it is so important to instill this piece, to teach our children what Shema means and how to be a Kriyas Shema Jew and how to be a Bracha Jew. Because if we can do that, so many of the struggles that often go into parenting in terms of getting kids to want to do the details, to love the details. See, you can't love something if you don't know what it means. You can't love something if you don't know why you're doing it. You can't love something if at the end of the day you don't understand the purpose that it has in your greater being. But that's why if we start with the relationship, right? If we start ultimately with the God awareness, then in Meretz Hashem, we bring our children into the process, and hopefully they're going to want to do the details. So we'll say, we're going to have to stop over here. So now we have the framework. Now, of course, the question we're going to tackle tomorrow morning is, why Ma'ariv? Why Ma'ariv? So I understand why the first mitzvah that a bar mitzvah bachar has is going to be Shema, but the shaila is why Kriyas Shema shel Arvis. To be continued tomorrow. We'll say Shkoyach.